We are live.
We are.
We are live. So exciting. So this time, folks, we got it figured out. We did it the correct way. So
Debbie's such an expert.
yeah, right. It's called trial and error, right? That's the best part. So we'll wait a few minutes for everybody to get in because I had a lot of people tell us that they were coming. So it's a little early. So
I'm going to turn my light around here.
We're so excited that everyone is here for LinkedIn Live. Do it your way.
That's right.
That's right. Do it your way.
We're do it your way kind of gals.
That's right. Absolutely. Hello, Miss Olivia, Tom. Now, sometimes on the LinkedIn thing, it just says LinkedIn user. So we apologize if we don't know who Howdy is.
Because, exactly. But thanks for saying howdy, Howdy. We're just going to call you Howdy.
So tell us who Howdy is, and we can say the name for sure. Because we can.
I think it's somebody that knows us because that's a friendly hello.
Exactly. Hello, Mr. Gary from New York, I believe. Known Gary for several years. He and his wife have two beautiful children. So we're so excited everyone's here. So we're going to take just about 15 seconds and then we will get started. So whether someone's watching this live or recorded, we appreciate you being here so much. And I'm Debbie Saviano, as you can see from the screen, and Margot Tantau is here. And we're not going to talk about ourselves because I don't think, if you want to know more about us, you can go to our LinkedIn profiles, right? That's much better than that. I had an interview this morning in the introduction, of yourself. It's very uncomfortable. You just feel like it's talk, it's just, you feel it's too much. Hello, Mr. Charles. So we are going to talk today about doing it your way. And this is such an important topic because we see every day the concern that people have as far as what they're supposed to do. And so we thought we'd take some time today to talk about social media and doing it your way. And there's always two sides, right? There's personally and there's professionally. And one thing we will ask, please put your comments in the sidebar over there as well. And tell us where you're tuning in from, so we know what city or state. I always like to ask the weather. David always teases me. My partner Stacy's husband, David, he calls me the weather woman, prairie weather woman. But the weather tells you something. Margaret, what's your weather like?
Rain, and more rain, because I live in the Pacific Northwest, and that's just what it does here.
That's what you have, but it is gorgeous.
I signed up for it, I guess.
I'm in North Texas, and I went outside just a minute ago. Matter of fact, my glasses get dark when I go out, so I had to hurry back in so I could get regular. It's like, I swear it feels like it's 70 degrees outside. Sunshine is absolutely gorgeous day. So, hello, Mr. Cody. What we're going to talk about today is how you can be seen in a busy, crowded, noisy world. You all have businesses, you all have projects, you all have reasons you want to be online. And we want to talk about how important it is, obviously, to be seen and to be heard, but we want you to do it your way. And Marvin, I've heard so many people lately say that they have discomfort and being overwhelmed with how to do that. So we thought we'd take some time to do it. And I think it would be remorse not to take just a second. I think we've all experienced this. Hello, Miss April from sunny Chicago. If you think about social media right now and the power that it has, all you have to do, and I think everyone has seen the turmoil that's going on in Ukraine, and President Zelensky, he is using social media
his way.
Oh my gosh, his way in a powerful way. Yeah. I mean, he is tugging on the heartstrings of everyone who watches that. Obviously, he knows why he's there, but you think about that example. Now, that's an extreme example, but we wouldn't know about that if he wasn't doing it. If that mama, Olena, who's been there with she's got one little baby in her arms and two with her, and they're in a shelter. She's on almost every day talking about it. I mean, that's powerful, and you wouldn't have that without social media. So Gary says it's rainy and 34 in Albany, New York. That's chilly. Now, Cody is in Maine, I think Bangor, Maine, like one of the coldest places in the country, I think. Cody, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But anyway, sorry, Margaret, I got sidetracked on that. But
okay.
Exactly. So we just want to talk about doing it your way today. We want it to be very interactive, and y'all share with us. So, Margot, take it away.
All right. It is such an important topic. I sent out an email about this to my email list, and it had one of the most healthy open rates ever. And I just think it goes to show that we're all thinking about this. Like, how do I play here? What feels right for me? What am I supposed to be doing? And I feel like, what am I supposed to be doing? Really, what Debbie and I want to do is translate that to who am I in this space and how do I want to show up, more than what am I supposed to be doing. So, one of the most awesome things that we can do is connect and converse and be in community, no matter where we are, with no borders, really. We all just need internet connection and a working phone, of course. But last week we came together on 2/2/22, and some of you were here. Thank you, Debbie, for bringing us back on for another number 2. And we're still here to talk about.
It sounds funny for another number 2.
A little 2/2/2. We're here still to talk about the relationships, and it's 3/2/22, and we want to talk about something that we believe so many of us struggle with and with us. So, how to do social media in your comfort zone and how to do it your way. What do we mean by this? When to post, what to post, how to post, where to post, why are you comfortable doing it the way you're doing it? Like, that's, I don't know, for me personally, that's the swirl that I get sort of stuck in. So that's what we're going to talk about.
And Cody says it is freezing in Augusta, Maine. The reason I remember that's the beauty of social media, is you connect with people and you can talk about things. That Cody, when I first met him, I think he was in Florida, but he was going to Maine. And I said, oh my gosh, that's where Stephen King lives. That's why he can write all those scary movies because he lives in this very cold, dark part of Maine, Bangor, Maine. But Cody's in Augusta, but he says it's freezing. So
I don't know. I spent many years in very cold Minnesota. So
there you go. Yeah, that's why you still wear your wrap. But it's cold where you are.
It is. Yeah. I like, it's winter, so I know it's not everywhere.
And y'all think about this as we're doing this. Look at the screen, if you will. The difference is in my side and Margot's side. Okay, I'm in my office. I have my pretty little background that stays here. Margot's got her pups behind her. I don't have any pups, right? I have them too. Yeah. But that's why it's so important to be you and to be in your own space, because that's what people want. That's what people want to see. So there's so many factors that go into social media and your comfort zone, if you will. And it's all unique. Everything is unique, just like I pointed out with my background and Margot's background. And they're both perfect, right? Because that's who Margot is and that's who I am. I saw today, Margot, when I was looking at something with us, Margot and I met, as we told you last week, we met when we were speaking at an event in, was it Pittsburgh?
Philadelphia
for Art Biz Jam. And I think the first reason I was so drawn to Margot were the glasses. Because look at her glasses. It's a little thing. But anyway.
Yours are pretty darn good too, my dear.
But 2 years later, here we are. So we wanted to share today 5 things to consider that if these resonate with you and there's something you think you could take advantage of and you feel good about, that you then could use in your own process. So let's share the first 5. The first one is know why you're on social media. And I think that is a huge issue for people often. And we're going to go into depth with these 5 things. But the first one is know why you're there. Number 2, make sure everyone knows who you are, what you do, and why you are the best choice for whatever the solution is that they're looking for. Okay, that's important because they have to know why you. Number 3, creating either a custom calendar or a campaign or a process, whatever it is. And Margot and I'll talk about this because we're very different in what those 2 are, which shows that we all do it differently. But have some system that you use to follow. Number 4, set a schedule and a time to do social, because otherwise it can be the rabbit hole Margot was talking about. And number 5, don't compare yourself with others. And that's probably the hardest, but we're going to talk about all 5 of these. So let's do number 1 first. Know why you're on social. It sounds so easy, and yet it's probably the hardest to understand sometimes, because we know we're there for personal's easier. We're there to talk about our family, our pets, our travels, whatever. Personal's easier. Professional becomes more challenging for people sometimes because they're not sure why. So that's why it's important for you to recognize why you're there. Is it to educate? Is it to entertain? Is it to build relationships, which it should always be for that? That should be number 1. Increase your visibility, your brand awareness, a product, a service, whatever. Why are you there? Why are you there? What's your intent? I know some of the people on the live today who are here live know personally what you do for a living. And so you want others to know what you do. Gary's in the financial sphere. Okay. He would love to help you take care of your finances, but you have to know Gary to be able to find Gary to do that. Right. So that's why that can be so important. There's no one reason why you're on social, and it can change over time. Like Margot and I have a course coming out, starts next Monday. So our focus is on that course right now. But after that, it'll be different. So the things can change at the reason that you're there. Hello, Miss Jody, one of my favorite people in the world, Jody. So as we said before, Zelensky, president of Ukraine, is on social to capture our hearts, to let us know the turmoil they're going through, and to hopefully get support. And it'll be very fascinating to watch what happens. And we're not political here, but just from a social perspective, it will be interesting because the mantra is, we will not send troops into Ukraine. And I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know. I'm not savvy enough to know that. But will he capture the hearts of enough people in this world that people say, wait a minute, something has to be done? So that would never even become a possibility. And I'm not saying it'll happen, but if it does, it will be because of what he's done and what the little mom has done and what the different people they've interviewed. Because when you see people at a train station trying to get away with their children, their babies, it's heartbreaking. When you see them in their homes being bombed, we wouldn't know that if it weren't for social. So I go off on a tangent, Margaret. But the point is, know why you're there. We know why he's there. So are you there to let people know about what you do? Jody does incredible vision board courses and workshops. Is that why she's there? She's promoting those, or is it something else? But identify why you were there. And then from that, you can go into number 2.
Exactly. Does everyone know what you do and why you? And the why we're on social media can be more than one reason for sure. But what do you do and why you is the next sort of thing to think about. You need to take some time to really go through all your social media platforms, wherever you hang out, your website, everything you do online. Do these things clearly represent you? And again, there's no hard and fast rules around what it needs to look like or do it this way, but it's that underlying, does everyone know what you do and why? Because if you're just kind of randomly posting, you're going to randomly show up as those things. Does it clearly represent you? Is the message clear? What do you offer? What are you solving for people? And why you? Why should they look at you? Why should they follow? Why should they kind of scroll down your feed or read those tweets, whatever that might be? So dedicate the time to do a deep dive in and look through where you show up and make the kind of adjustments that you might need to kind of to say, this is why me. Is it your bio? Is it what you're posting? We'll go more into that. Debbie mentioned we have a course coming up, but today we just really wanted to remind you of these 5 things. So dedicate time to that deep dive. Are you somewhere where those people you help and you want to be in front of are not? This is a big one too. Like, think about where your people are. If you're spinning your wheels, either you're not comfortable there or they're not even there, maybe you don't need to spend too much time on that. So it's clarity and consistency that you're after.
Absolutely. And if any of y'all have questions as we go through, please put them in the box because we want to answer as we go along. This is very informal. We don't expect you to wait to the end. If you have questions now, pop them in there and we'll answer to the best of our ability. And it also helps others because there's never a wrong question, right? We always know if one person's thinking it, usually someone else is as well. So on number 3, this is interesting and fascinating because Margot and I are very different in how we do this, but yet we're both very effective at it. So it shows you the dichotomy of what you can have and that there is no right answer, right? It's just what works for you and doing it your way. So for number 3, it's creating some system, a calendar, a process, sticky notes, whatever it is, but something that you rely on that helps you know what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, if you will. So for me, I'll share what I do because mine's different than Margot and she'll share hers when I finish. But what I do is I create every month a monthly calendar. I have the dates in it. I have special events. I have holidays. I have interviews, whatever. I include all that on that calendar. And then I go in and create images for those things. Now you think, my gosh, that's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but I do about 3 hours a month. And that's for 31 days, right? But then I only do that for 80%. I bank all that, and that's 80% of content that I have available to me. But then the 20% are the things that come up that either speak to you because it's part of what you do or it's part of your values or whatever. But the bank for me, because I have so many that I manage there, if you will, that works for me. I'm the educator, the lesson plans, that kind of thing. But that doesn't mean that others have to do it that way. But the important thing is to know you have a purpose of what that month is and what you're going to do, right? So for example, this is so funny because this is so not me, but that's okay. March is National Nutrition Month. Okay. It should be me. I am drinking water though. I'm drinking water, so that's a good sign. But anyway, so it's National Nutrition Month, the world of flavor. So think about what could you do off of that in relation to what you do. So you're bringing together something fun that could be a culinary experience or whatever, but align it with what your business is or your values are, what you're trying to promote and talk about. So I have a purpose for every week, and then I have things I break down in that. Now, again, that works for me, but for some people, that's like, oh my gosh, that's way too much. I don't want to do that, right? But there is a key to this. The key is you have to know the purpose for that month, that week that you're going to do. So, Margo, why don't you tell about what you do? Because yours is very different, but works very effectively for you.
Yeah, I kind of go to it from some people call it like a 5 pillars, but things that I know are me or what's happening. Like, do I have a launch happening? I'm always going to talk about art. I'm always going to highlight things that I think are important. There's going to be a little personal life in there. I have a list that's about six topics long. And so that's sort of my personal filter. Does this fit in? Anymore, I spend a little bit, my Instagram's the place that I hang out the most because I work with creatives and that's a very visual platform. So I think about certain things in stories, certain things on the feed, but I like to do it, not exactly in the moment, but I'm a little bit more off the cuff. And it's because then I'm reacting to, because those things I've already notated that are important to me, I'm reacting to those. I'm reacting to a certain contest that I might be having that month, that then I'm posting something from that or et cetera, so it's a little bit more live, but that kind of relates to what we're talking about next. But it's just a way to, it works for me. It's my way. So that's what our whole topic is like, what's your way to do it? So that's how I do it. I just kind of do it. I set a certain days a week, but I do it that day.
And it can be as simple as taking a sticky note and writing those 5 things. Like, for example, I'm going to say Gary again, money matters. So he can have a Monday money matters hashtag and do something on Monday for that. He could have 5 things. Cody, April, all of you on this call, Debbie, everyone could do their 5 things, put it on the computer, and it could be that simple. For those of you who want more detail, you could do what I'm talking about, the campaign calendar, because then it's all there with the visuals. I mean, I even go as deep as the copy so that because then I can put my full focus to that. Again, the educator in the lesson plans, but we just think it's important to think about what way works for you and know why you're there, and to be able to have those points that Margo was talking about. So number 4.
Yes, number 4, set a schedule. And this is super helpful for me. Again, being a creative and kind of, I'm not linear. So knowing, because I can really go down that rabbit hole. So set a schedule and set the time that you're going to spend on social media or making your posts or interacting. One of the reasons that social media can become so overwhelming is because there really is no plan or schedule. There's no formal purpose to it. We're kind of suggesting that you make your own, kind of give yourself a little formality. So once you have your custom calendar or your things you want to post for complete, the next thing is just to identify when you're going to do that. What works for you in your day? Define when you're going to post. Is that, first thing when you get up or later at night? Often there's a lot of information out there on when a good time to post is, but really there's a couple things that matter about that. It's about consistency, which I'm sure you've heard over and over again, but we're going to say it again because it really matters. It's about consistency, and it's about being able to respond back to your people. So you want to post at a time when you can then spend 15 or 20 minutes interacting. So if it's 5 days a week, great. If it's 3 days a week, that's okay too. It's consistency.
Absolutely.
So yeah, right. And I think you're so good at that, Debbie. You're better. Well, I just love how I know it's going to show up. And I'm better at kind of sticking to my certain days, and then I show up in that. So go ahead.
No.
So anyway, stick to that time as best as you can. And if you follow your custom calendar like Debbie does, or my kind of plan, you'll know exactly what you're doing, and it will be easier not to get sidetracked. That's kind of the whole point of it. And monitor when people seem to engage with you the most. That's kind of one way to think about your timing. You can tell that in your platforms. There's ways to find that out. And that's the number one thing to remember, to engage.
Engage. Speaking of that, hello, Miss Ann from Fort Worth, Texas. She's got a sunny day too, because it's sunny here in North Texas. And Lisa from Connecticut. I'm guessing it's a little bit chilly in Connecticut, Lisa.
Probably.
Again, we encourage y'all to put questions in the comments so we can answer those if you have them, because we really do want this to be beneficial for you, these 5 points. I think that what Margot's talking about with the schedule and the time and everything, no right or wrong, just do it your way and when it's comfortable with you. And the reason we feel so badly for people when they get overwhelmed, and it's because they try to do what someone else does. If what I do is not your thing, then by all means, that should not be what you're doing. If Margot's more your thing, that's what you should do, or somewhere in between, right? Because we're all unique, and whatever's going to work for you is just knowing that. So, and Ann's right. Engagement is king, queen, and all the above for sure. So number 5, finally, do not compare yourself with others. And oh my gosh, this is a biggie, probably the hardest, and it's easier said than done. And the reason it's such a challenge is obvious, because we always have our phones in our hands. We always know what everyone else is doing. It's such an extension of our lives these days that it's easy to see what everybody else is doing. But because of that, you have that imposter syndrome. There's been so much said about that the last 3-4 years probably. But for us, when we've talked about this in depth, imposter syndrome, I think, Margot thinks, we think, is because people try to be someone else. I could never do Margot's way. She could not do my way, because we have to be our own selves. And so trying to mimic someone else is not going to be beneficial for you. And so, because what happens is, well, they have this many followers. I was on an interview this morning and someone says, well, what if you only have 300 followers? I feel badly, they feel badly because they don't have more, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we do to ourselves. We beat ourselves up. We say, well, what am I doing wrong? You might not be doing anything wrong. It takes time to build the relationships, right? And so don't try to compare ourselves with someone else. They're doing it their way. You do it your way. When you have a purpose and you have a process, like we talked about, the calendar or the notes or the pillars, whatever, when you have those things in place, it's much easier not to compare yourself. The other thing too is, and I see this with younger people, especially, I've got, young granddaughters, and I see it when we're out somewhere, you see kids, well, you see everyone, adults too, it's not just children, but you see young people on their phones, they're scrolling. And I've said this before, but the most valuable piece of real estate is right now? It's that feed, because everybody wants you to stop on their thing. But they're looking, and so what they're doing when they look is they're comparing themselves with other people. Mm-hmm. So what we say is, if you have a plan and a process, go in and do it, and I'll share mine. I do it in the morning, and I do it in the evening, okay? That works for me, may not work for you, but I do it in the morning and the evening. I don't get sidetracked. When I go in, I know why I'm there, and I have the purpose of what I'm doing. I do it and I get out. Now, some days I say, hey, I want to go on Pinterest. I want to go on TikTok and laugh. But I know I've got a purpose. I want to spend 15 minutes doing that. I don't spend time perusing the rest of the time. Anne has a good point. She says a lot of people feel like they have imposter syndrome because they're too hard on themselves. Exactly. They beat themselves up. And there's no better word than grace. And that is so true. Sometimes when I do a post, I'll say, give me grace, because this is going to be long. Or I might, be talking about my granddaughter or something. But she's right. Grace is a huge issue. So is it Des or D? I want to say the right thing. Such a beautiful name and a gorgeous picture. Engage. It's amazing how it works. So don't look at someone else. We're never going to be the Kardashians, and I don't want to be the Kardashians. So don't look at their followers. Don't look at their numbers. Do it your way. So we've given you 5 things. 1, know why you're on social. What's your purpose for being there? Make sure everyone knows what you do and why you. And I'm going to share. So as Margot said, we have a course coming out, and we are in the process of promoting the course because it starts Monday. And do you ever have just like a brain warp and you forget what you're going to say? I just had that. Anyway, so on my LinkedIn, on my banner, I have that. Anyone who knows me, I try really hard to let you know how I can help you, because that's what we want to do. So if you go to our LinkedIn profiles, you'll see on my banner course, it's right up there on the top, because we want people to know that. So do people know who you are, but do they may know you, but do they know what you do? And I've struggled with this in the past myself, so I'm being totally sincere about it. But do they know what you do? Do they know what you offer? That's important, because they're not on LinkedIn for just by chance. They're on LinkedIn for a purpose. And so if they're going to your profile and they're looking, they want to know why you, and you want to make sure you tell them. So number 3, have a calendar, have a process, have a system, have sticky notes, whatever it is that works for you, have that and use that and take advantage of it. 4 is schedule the time and the a schedule for posting. Lisa said it's an awkward time to post to try and gain attention with world affairs so fragile, sort of like a 9/11 era. That is so true, Lisa. You're exactly right. And I think, yeah, you're right. To that point, I will share some on that, Lisa, because that's a very good point, because you want to be sensitive to the hardships that the Ukrainians right now are going through. There's a lot of people are posting things about Zelensky and the leadership he's showcasing and stuff with himself, what he's doing in the bunkers. Something that you can think about doing there, and if it resonates, only if it resonates, you feel good about it. If it's your way, you could comment on those. You never know who's, and I'm a huge believer, and I know Ann and I agree on this immensely, and Margaret and I talk about it all the time. I believe God's going to bring you the doorways, but we have to have a door open. And so if you post, let's say you comment on something someone has out there, your picture shows up and portions of your headline show up. It could be that that's the place someone finds you. It happens to us all the time, okay? But you have to post, you have to comment to have that happen. So to Lisa's point, with it being such a delicate time, if you commented on some of those things sincerely, that might be a way. And if not, it's just a way to show, good faith and trying to support someone what they're doing. But the thing is, on LinkedIn, I'm the LinkedIn advocate. Margot's the Instagram. On LinkedIn, you want to make sure that LinkedIn profile says why you when they go there. Cody says, I have just a little over 100 connections and followers. He just started. If compared myself to others, I'd be defeated daily. So true. I stay in my lane, and when I start to get frustrated with the journey, I simply take a excellent advice, because there's always going to be someone more, someone skinnier, someone prettier, someone smarter, someone always going to be more. So good example. Anne said this is a great place to connect with people. If you look under networking, you can see everyone attending the awesome live and send them a request to connect. That is a good point, Anne. I was going to say that at the end. When you're on LinkedIn and they show you network, if you click on that, you literally can go down and see everyone who's here. And so when you do that, you can reach out and say, hey, saw you were on Debbie and Margot's live today. Love to connect. So that's a great way, because then you expand your network. So number 5, to the point of everything everyone's just said, don't compare yourself to other people. Stay in your lane, as Cody says, because that's the only way we're going to be able to do what we do. So Miss Margot, sorry.
I love it, though. I'm going to comment to a few of those too. And all of these 5 tips are so crucial to remind yourself of and give yourself grace to do it your way. And, Lisa, I think we're all feeling that, like, should I say this, or does it seem awkward? I posted or reposted, a really great reel. There's somebody I follow on Instagram, and she was saying, it's taken me a couple of days to kind of put this together, but I'm realizing that if we can share ourselves, if we can be ourselves on social media, and we're not ignoring things, but we're putting beauty into the world, or our work into the world, we're saying to everyone, like, we're standing for what that can mean, for what being yourself can mean. Zelensky's being himself. If your work, if you're an artist or you're any sort of business person or a human, right? It's about supporting each other, because at the end, we're supporting the process of being real, being ourselves, interacting with each other in positive ways. So I just thought that was a really good thing to say. And Cody, too, to your point, if you have one follower who's commenting and looking at your work, you're influencing them. And I'm not suggesting we all become influencers, but it's just a good way to remember that 300, 7,000, 350,000, it's almost easier when it's smaller because you're being very personal with each other. And I love that. Yeah, Lisa says, I'm advising my clients to be mindful not to overpitch themselves. That'll come across deaf to the temperature of what's occurring. I totally agree. I think it's compassion and mindfulness and, a way to move forward. We've had to deal with that so much in the past couple of years. This is just one more thing. But thank you, because we really wanted to hear your thoughts and interact on this, and wanting to know if you can relate. Are these 5 tips something that you can see yourself doing or adapting if you don't kind of do some of these things already? Wondering kind of what resonates the most with you. Is there one thing that you had an aha about, or thinking like, oh yeah, I'm going to take that with me today? And, just ask each other, kind of canvas your audience. What does it mean to do it your way? So I just really appreciate everybody being here. And this is something that I personally think about all the time. So it's just fun to be able to talk about it with Debbie, because I so appreciate her point of view, and we're just going to keep on figuring it out as we go.
And thank you so much, Margaret. It's oftentimes, and we've lived, and again, I said, we're not going to say political, but it's just the reality of the world. There's been so much division in the country, if you will. And I think Margot and I represent the possibility, because Margot and I are so much at the different ends of the spectrum on some of those issues. But that doesn't matter, because what matters is that we both care about each other, we respect each other, we value each other. And that's so true of all of us. We don't care where people stand on that spectrum. Exactly. We care about people being loving and caring and kind to one another. It's that, because if you do that, that's going to bring out the beauty in the world that Margot's talking about. And if that's all I read last night, and this was so deep, y'all, I can't even begin to remember it all, but it was so deep. They believe now that there's many more dimensions than we think there are. Y'all don't think she's going off on some tangent, but there's many more dimensions than that we believe there are. And one is the 5th dimension, which they believe is the dark matter. Dark matter can be good and it can be bad. Do y'all remember the movie? I'm sure everyone does, Ghostbusters. And there was a scene where they're asking Aykroyd, why do you think this is happening now in our city? And he said, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact thing, but the point was, all the negativity and the hate were running through the sewers, okay? The anger and the frustration. And that's what caused that to come out. But if you think about it, if all we ever do is show negativity, then we're contributing to that. So to Margot's point, if all we ever do is show positivity, we're showing that you can be loving and kind. You don't have to agree on, my gosh, we don't agree with our family members on stuff sometimes, right? Who's going to wash the dishes or not, or whatever. But just to show the loving and the kindness. And that's why I've always said to people on social media, never go negative. If you need to go negative, go in the bathroom, throw a fit and get over it and come out. Because that's not what we want to do. We want to show positivity and love. So we think that's so important. So Margot had asked me something right before we start. I've got to get myself up higher, huh? Margot, ask us about what you asked me about, the good thing.
Oh yeah. I have 2 friends that have a really cute podcast. It's funny. It's called Easy Bake Coven. And they're just, it's great. And they make me laugh every week. And at the end of the podcast, they ask each other what their one good thing was that week. And I remember doing that in school and things like that, but I don't think we stop and take that time. So I just said to Debbie before we started that I was going to ask her what her one good thing was this week, and ask you all as well, because it just takes us away from that, oh my gosh, I've got to get to that meeting next. And I would love to know what your one good thing was.
Yeah, please tell us in the comments what your one good thing was. And intentionally, when Margot asked me that, we immediately went to something else we were working on for the course. And so I didn't answer. And then I stopped thinking about it, because I really wanted to be in the real time of doing it. And what I'm grateful for right now in this moment is the fact that for health and independence and the fact we can do this. Because I think that's the gift of what we're doing, is being able to come together and talk and communicate. And, you know, it's kind of like beam me up, Scotty, that day has arrived. We can all be in the same space. So we would love to hear what your one good thing is that you've had this week, because, or today, this moment, whatever it is. I think it's important for us to share those kinds of things, because the one good thing another good thing I love about social media is we're able to be champions and supporters of each other. And I'll give you a perfect example. And I do much the same thing, okay, in some areas, some of the same things. But we're not competing. We're not competing because there's enough space for everyone. What I love about social media and the spheres that Margot and I are in, that all of y'all are in, is the fact that we can be champions. Debbie Mrazek's one of the biggest cheerleaders, twirlers, supporters of anyone I've ever met in my life. And she's always supporting other people. We don't have to just be in that scarcity mindset that there's only enough for one. There's enough for everyone. And if that person needs Ann, then I want them to go to Ann. If that person needs me, then I welcome them into my sphere. But you want to send people where they're most comfortable, where they feel the best that they're going to get. And there's no competition. So, you know, no competition.
Anybody have one good thing? I have one good thing.
Oh, good. Please share.
I agree. I know Debbie already knows what it is. If any of you are parents, there's those moments, those pivotal moments that you can see your kid like making a decision that is going to like literally change his life. And my kiddo is about to be 14 and about to be a freshman in high school. And he just got accepted yesterday. I live near both Seattle and Tacoma, and Tacoma public schools have a magnet school that is a creative arts school, and it's lottery. And he got in yesterday, and he is about a foot taller today. It's pretty exciting to know that he can start filmmaking and doing the things that he loves at a high school level. So I'm excited about that today.
That is such an exciting thing, because there's nothing more exciting than when we see our young people, our children, or whomever accomplish that goal that they're wanting to have. So I can't wait to see the stuff that Cooper creates and the road, the pathway that takes him on. What an incredible example. So here's Miss Ann.
Thanks for answering. Thanks for playing along.
I'm going to put this up, even though it's going to cover my Facebook. I'm grateful for all the amazing people in my community. And thanks, Debbie. Collaborate versus compete. Absolutely. We have a niche and there's plenty of work for all of us. Amen.
So well said.
Amen. Thank you, Ann, so much. Anybody else like to share?
Come on, you must have a good thing. We want to know what it is.
That's right. We want to celebrate with you. And Cody, I'm going to address Cody there for a second. So he's talking about the followers. And this is true for any of y'all. If any of y'all have something you want to put out, or that you're trying to get, it could be a quote, it could be anything, right? That you want to do that, just tag myself or Margot, and we'll help do that with you. Because I think sometimes I tag all the time. And the reason I do tag is because that's my invitation to a conversation. People look at tagging in different ways, no right or wrong. But when I do it, it's like I know those people are experts there, if you will. I know they're strong in what they're doing, and I want them to be able to be part of that conversation. And in some ways, I'm promoting them too, because if you think about it, when they comment, their picture and their headline shows up. So it could be someone says, "Ooh, I want her," or "Ooh, I want him." So my good thing is hearing y'all's discussion about being able to like someone who you disagree with. Very well said.
Yeah,
very well said.
I'm so glad. It's, it fills me up every week when I talk to Debbie. It's
Amen.
What this whole thing should be about.
Yeah, absolutely. Jody, my son Philip works in marketing for Frontier, has shared my business with his boss, and now I'll be conducting workshops for teams with Frontier Management. Congratulations. That's awesome. Frontier just bought Spirit, and they need some help, Jody. They need some vision boards. That's awesome. That's too cute. That is too cute. Okay, so we had someone who was going to say when you save them, they stop typing. So I bet they're going to come back in and finish that up. But Margaret, I do have a course coming out if you're interested in looking at that. We put the link across the bottom there. We always believe in being real. All of us here do, because we know all y'all. In that we've had some challenges with the URL being matched to the course. And so we have the bit.ly link there, but the tech team are working on it today. So hopefully the URL will be live with the link. But I think it will be very helpful for those who take it, because we are really going deep, and it's going to be live, and it's going to be very interactive, kind of like what we're doing here, but really deep. One says tagging. So what I meant by that when I tag is, so if I post something on LinkedIn and it's a picture, and I can go into the pencil and hit it and tag the @ sign and type their name, and then I know that they're tagged. If I do @Jody Wallace, I know it turns blue and she gets noticed I tagged her. See, because we're so busy and it's such a hectic world out there, when someone, like when Ann tags me, I always go in and comment, because I value Ann, I care about her, and I want to support what she's doing. And likewise, so that's a way for you to, because we're all busy. They might not see your post because the platform might let them see your post, because there's, algorithms. So when you tag, you can be pretty much guaranteed at least 90% that they'll see that if they check their notifications. So
yeah. And it's really, it's kind of a great feeling. If, right after I met Debbie, I noticed this is something you're so good at. So she'll go in and tag people in this post. And what it does to me, the viewer who's tagged, is like, oh, what did Debbie, like, how come she tagged me? And then it's kind of a compliment. And it's like, oh my gosh, they wanted me to see this quote, or know that it's National Donut Day, or whatever, somebody's birthday, whatever that thing might be. And I've actually had tagged somebody recently who said, did you mean to tag me in this? I said, yeah, I thought you'd appreciate seeing it. She's like, oh my gosh, thanks so much.
And Ann was just responding to say, see, the thing with StreamYard, we can't see everything. So some of y'all are seeing some things we're not seeing in the comments. So thank you, Ann, for sharing. The tagging is when you do the @ sign and then you type their name in. And the beauty of that then is that they get notification on their notifications. So your profile is not showing your name and photo in the comments exactly. And I do not know why. That happened to me yesterday on something. And I got, goodness knows, everything I've got has my picture and stuff on it. So why it wasn't, I don't know, but it was not. And so that's something I'm trying to research to find out, why was it not showing my picture? It only had DS. And so here it shows LinkedIn users. So it could be in settings. I'm gonna try and figure that out, because that's something we all would like to have the answer to. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. Margaret, I loved having you. If you're interested in the course, please check it out. And someone said, I don't think I've ever tagged anyone. Please start by tagging Margot and I and everyone on the call, that we're here. We'll support you for sure, for sure. So stay tuned for more LinkedIn Lives that we get noticed. And again, I invite people to those, because they're people who I support and who support me, and the same with Margot, with the emails or the tags or whatever, to let people know we're doing them. So thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed day. It was so much fun. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye-bye.